Attraction and admiration to beauty is one of the common human behavior. Based on this idea, beauty pageant has been gaining a lot of attention worldwide. There are bodies or institutions that has been supporting or speaking against beauty pageant. Some say it is a platform to create a community for a positive role model, whereas some says that beauty pageant is all about body objectification and commodification. Based on this idea, today we are having a discussion, and the topic is Feminists Should Support Beauty Pageant. Namaste and welcome to the new episode of Debate Star. We are very proud to announce you that this is the first ever debate reality show based on parliamentary model. Today we have two teams. We have team NLC Girls as a ruling party, whereas for the opposition team, we have Team Up Against Bullying. They have a quite interesting name, giving a message as well. You are watching us exclusively on NEWS24 television. I'm your host, Subin Limbu, and our sponsors are
Title Sponsor, Education Park, in association with Mercy Education, powered by OS Studies, IELTS Partner, British Council, brought to you by Golden Gate International College, Maple International Education, main sponsor, SIEC, sponsors, METS International Education and Visa Services, The Next Education Consultancy, Scope Student Services, Professional Education Consultancy, Cambridge Institute of Technology, Banking Partner, Everest Bank Limited, Co-sponsors, Oasis Career Advisor, supported by Hisan, in partnership with Debate Network Nepal, organized by Abhiyan Multimedia, Media Partner, Annapurna Sampurna, Creative Partner, Fulcrum Consulting Private Limited, exclusively on NEWS24 television.
Now it's time for a short break. We will be right back.
Welcome to our enriching park, where you interact with our expert advisors, explore your career opportunities, test your potential, and truly begin your educational journey abroad for a brighter tomorrow. Education Park. Call us for more details.
Mercy Education is committed to providing you with the best available pathways for Australia, USA, UK, Canada and New Zealand. Our services includes confidential career counseling from our expert counselors, proper guidance and assistance through every step of the application process, easy way for visa processing, preparing the student for visa interview. We provide thorough training and comprehensive practice to ensure high score in the following test preparation classes: IELTS, TOEFL, SAT, PTE. We make sure that you achieve your dream of studying abroad. Mercy Education.
शिक्षाको लागि अस्ट्रेलिया, गन्तव्य तपाईको साथ हाम्रो OS Studies.
Welcome back to the new episode of Education Park Presents Debate Star. We have two teams as a ruling party and as an opposition party as well. For a ruling party, we have team NLC Girls, whereas for the opposition party, we have Team Up Against Bullying. Very interesting name with a message. As I've mentioned, the topic for a discussion is, this house believes that feminists should support beauty pageant. Among the judges panel, today we have Professor Dr. Surendra Kesi. We also have Nepali actress Sanchita Luitel. We also have Professor Ramesh Silwar. We are entering into a team introduction round, and I'd like to request the ruling party, Team NLC Girls, to introduce themselves.
Me, Sujata Kesi, as a Prime Minister.
Namaste. I am Salina Rimal, representing as Deputy Prime Minister.
Hello, I am Rajani Banjara, representing as Government Whip.
I'd like to request the opposition party to introduce themselves.
My name is Angsunam Sherpa. I'm the leader of opposition in this debate.
Hi, my name is Saurabh Bhatta. I'll be speaking as the Deputy Leader of Opposition.
Anudit Basnet, I'll be the opposition whip.
Time for us to buckle up and enter the main debate session. Today's topic is, this house believes that feminists should support beauty pageant. I'd like to request the Prime Minister from the ruling party to come forward and give her views on this matter.
Respected House, me, as a Prime Minister, would like to present a proposition of the motion. This House believes feminists should support beauty pageants. First of all, I would like to discuss on feminism. What feminism actually is. Feminism is a movement aimed at founding and demanding the equal political, economic, and social rights, and the equal opportunities for women and men as well. A chance to liberate both men and women. Feminists are the supporters of feminism. Feminism do not work to control men, nor they do hate men. But they work for maintaining the equal status of both the men and women in the society, for the betterment of the both men and women in the society. And then beauty pageants. What beauty pageant is? Beauty pageants are the competition, judging and ranking the contestants based on their physical attributes, incorporating their personality traits, intelligence, talents, and answers to the judges' questions. Beauty pageants are all about empowerment. Trainings given to the contestants of beauty pageants are not only about the modeling or fashion, but related with the knowledge, confidence, boldness, and spontaneity as well. It's not about being the best or being better than anyone else, but being the real you. And it's all about celebrating the differences and that makes you the things that makes you the unique. They are a way of raising the awareness on social issues. Beauty is all about being ambitious, being intelligent, being just it's all about just what you are doing about the people around you. And we had prepared some sorts of strategies supporting that beauty pageants should be supported by the feminist. First one, this house encourages beauty pageants which are affordable and of various categories like Miss Nepal, Miss Plus Size, Miss Wheelchair, Miss Moral, etc. that enhance social justice and substantive equality. Equal treatment for equal in equal circumstances and situations necessary for the welfare state and the overall development of the nation. Second one, deploying the winners of beauty pageants as goodwill ambassadors and engaging them in the campaigns for the reforms on issues such as reproductive rights, domestic violence, maternity care, sexual harassment, sexual violence, etc. and utilizing their widely accepted fame in the positive activities in the society. True feminists with original ideas and values of the movements should support a woman freely choosing to participate in and a well-accepted form of beauty pageants, contributing for overall women empowerment along with the development of their faculties, self-realization, self-image, identity, and economic development, these are the keys to the feminist ideas as well. Organizing a beauty pageant, setting the realistic standards where beauty is not quantified and not highlighted within the myth of perfect 10. Instead, following the criteria and focusing on the main criteria like beauty with purpose. This house proposes beauty pageants at such platforms, providing the international recognition to one's nation. It's not about the celebrating the external beauty, but the inner beauty in the international platform too. These could enhance the development in the trade and the tourism as well. Beauty is not about only the game of crowns. The economic movement, the feminist economic movement, its economic and political movement is all about celebrating the differences between man and woman and making them equally stable in the society. That's why more than a game of crowns, beauty pageants is all about global political economy of beauty pageants. And this house supports this. The global political and economic beauty pageants. Thank you.
Now, in order to defend her views, I'd like to request the opposition party, the leader, to give his thoughts on this matter.
Panel. When a particular activity like a beauty pageant oftentimes emphasizes different kind of societal beauty standards that oppresses and secludes a lot of people in the society, especially young women and young boys as well, we think that is actively harmful and the feminist movement should be against these kind of beauty pageants. But who are these feminists we're talking about, right? These kind of feminists are individuals who care about the overall society, who also cares about the underprivileged woman as much as it does the privileged woman. It also is extremely inclusive when it comes to talking about different kind of problems that not only people of privileged background face, but women of underprivileged background face as well. These kind of movement is focused on making the lives of a majority of women in the society better off by making them free of different kind of restrictions that patriarchal restrictions create. And one of the examples is a beauty standard as well. A couple of things to rebut before I begin my arguments. The first thing that we heard from the side government today is the idea of how they create awareness on different kind of social issues. We think that is not really an argument that can be specifically catered to these beauty pageants only, right? Because we think the societal awareness of these kind of issues is raising in the status quo, regardless of these kind of beauty pageants coming up and talking about these things. But moreover, we think there are different kinds of harms that these beauty pageants do, which I'm going to talk about later on. But even then, even if they create this awareness in a marginal level, we think the kind of harms that you do in terms of providing these restrictions, providing these beauty standards in the society is extremely harmful, and we should not do it regardless. They talk about different kind of global pageants, global economic and social pageants. We think this debate is mostly about the most prominent beauty pageants that happen in national and international level. That is the pageants that we're talking about, right? Because those have the most impact. So first of all, let's just talk about how these pageants work and how do they activate, how do they operate, right? These kind of beauty pageants oftentimes emphasize different kind of societal beauty standards that you need to conform to in order to win. For instance, you have to be a thin person to win. You have to have a fair skin. You need to be a tall person. In Nepal, you cannot participate in Miss Nepal if you are not above 5'4". You cannot participate in Miss Korea if you're not below 50 kg. We think these kind of standards are still there in these kind of beauty pageants, right? They talk about these inner biases, but inner beauty that is glorified in these beauty pageants. But we think the emphasis on these later, man. But the emphasis on these kind of beauty pageants is oftentimes on the biases that society has already on what is beautiful and what is not. We think that is extremely harmful. Sure, there are different kind of rounds that emphasize on different kind of skills and talents, but still, the major emphasis here is that even if you have a skill that is beneficial, you still need to be beautiful in order to win. We think that is actively harmful. So, but why is it important, right? Because we think a lot of people who watch these kind of beauty pageants who do not conform to these beauty standards, like people who are not fair, people who are not tall enough, people who are not conforming to beauty standards that are in the society, feel secluded and do not feel comfortable in their body. They do not have the kind of self-esteem that people who are privileged with these beauty standards have. We think that is actively harmful. But moreover, it also encourages different kind of teenagers to engage in different kind of unhealthy habits, or going into extremely prolonged diets, like harming your health, right? You go against different kinds, you go for different kind of surgeries that actively harms your health. We think that is extremely harmful. But moreover, secondly, why do you think it's harmful to the participants themselves? We think firstly, this like the process of these kind of beauty pageants working is like going to different kind of rounds and levels where you're constantly judged, most importantly on the basis of how you look and how you look from outside, right? These people have to invest heavily, not only in terms of cost, but also in terms of time and resources of their life, right? But why is this harmful? It harms their self-esteem. When you're constantly judged by the way you look and the way you are perceived by a lot of people staring at you every time you walk, we think that has a direct impact upon how you perceive yourselves, how you value yourself, where you consider yourself not more than how you look. We think that is extremely harmful to the participants themselves. But moreover, there are different kind of health harms that exist, that accrue to these participants in terms of them taking different kind of taking different kinds of diets that are harmful to their health, them partaking in different kind of surgeries that should not have happened if considering their health, them by being actively in gyms even like in longer hours than what is normal and what is healthy. We think these are the harms that feminism movement should never support. We're very proud to oppose.
Be strong as iron. Be precious as gold. Golden Gate International College, Wisdom Tower, Trikoti Colony, Old Baneswar, 32 Putali, Kathmandu. Phone 4477 082 4466 795 4495 165.
Study in Canada. Start journey with Maple Education. Think Canada. Think Maple. Putali Sadak, Kathmandu.
Your call?
Thanks, babe.
के छ यार तेरो खबर?
मेरो त दामी छ यार. युनिभर्सिटी नि बवाल पाइहाले. जब नि दामी छ. अर्निङ नि दामी छ. I'm too satisfied, man. Too satisfied.
एडमिसन त सँगै गरियो. बेकारमा क्लास नगएर. अब म पनि SIC बाटै अस्ट्रेलिया प्रोसेसिङ गर्छु.
SIEC, study in Australia.
I'm the best. I'm the best.
You are the next. You are the next.
You are the best.
Welcome to the Next Education Consultancy. We provide classes for IELTS, PTE and abroad study counseling for Australia and New Zealand. The Next Education Consultancy. Head office Putali Sadak, Kathmandu.
It's a new day today. Not a day to make excuses, not to put it off for tomorrow. It's about today. It's your chance. This is your opportunity. It's your dream. Live it. Push forward. Turn the average into the extraordinary. Steadfast in your commitment and then you'll still have work to do. Because stopping is not your option. Promise yourself to be an achiever. Make success into your reality. So why settle for anything less? Professional Education Consultancy. Connecting to success.
Mates Education. अब हामी भएका छौं Mates International. We provide IELTS preparation classes, abroad study counseling program for study in Australia and many more. Mates International, Shahid Chowk, Narayangarh, Cinema Road, Parsa.
Are you interested to study in Australia? Visa guidance under registered migration experts. Study abroad for a greater tomorrow. Scope Student Services.
Now let's hear what our ruling parties has to say, and I'd like to introduce and request Deputy Prime Minister to give her thoughts on this matter.
Respected panel of judges and my opponent, I would like to go directly to the points that my opponent leader put on. He talked about how physical appearance matter in the beauty pageant, but I would like to give an example about the Miss Beautiful Moral, which was done by Saudi Arabia. There, judges don't care about the physical figure. They were whole covered, where the idea of the Miss Beauty pageant was only to measure the contestant commitment towards the Islamic moral. And also, I would like to add an example that Nate Faker, who was Miss Universe of 2017, she also fought for the kidnappers, and she was also there for the and she was also there to fight with the American army regarding the platform where the kidnappers were not able to be discovered. So here, many of the Miss Nepals, Miss Universe, Miss World has already participated in many kinds of things which are far better than only the physical appearance. Outer beauty is just a skin deep, but the real beauty lies inside you, and they have just figured out this code in their life. And as our Prime Minister has already illustrated that we are against this narrow standard of beauty, where we have already illustrated about the Miss Plus size, where there is Mrs. Nepal as well. So where there is no certain criteria where you need to go and you just need to be beautiful. And there is an example that Miss Khana has won Miss World. He talked about the fairness. We looking at the Miss Khana, she is not fair enough comparing to the Miss America or others, but still she won the beauty pageant. So there is no certain kind of mislead or certain kind of narrow standard things in beauty pageant. Feminists believe that there will be no dominance, there will be equality, freedom of choices, freedom of interested. So regarding this, there is a freedom of choice, freedom of interest. Coming out of the four walls of the house is the freedom of choice and interest to a woman. So a woman is already out of the house, and which the feminists really wanted. So this is something feminists always supported the worldwide. Talking about the liberal feminists has always been there to support women in every kind, equal to the men. So if any of the women come out of her house and go beyond that territory and go worldwide to supporting her country, then there will be something which people did not even think of. And talking about the Miss, there is also the master world. Then there is nothing like patriarchal society. There is the master world. So what? You will say master world is a dominating phase of matriarchal? No, there is nothing point like that. So I would like to add one example that being a feminist, the Garden magazine has discovered that Miss Universe 2014 has currently has been invited to talk about world peace. So there is a lots and lots of field that a beauty pageant cover. It is not just limited within a small point. Miss Spain Universe 2018, Angelia Poise became first transgender woman to ever compete in the pageant. This shows how broad is the beauty contest, and this is what a feminist always wanted. So, more than just a game of crowns, this house supports global political, economic of beauty pageant, and we are always against the narrow standard of beauty. That's why the government is raising orientation in the affordable price, so that the private sector, whatever the economic problem was, that will not come again. And we had also raised awareness and awareness program and addressing a thing like sexual violence and everything. So there is not just about beauty, that is not just about what we have pointed out right here.
Now let's hear what opposition party has to say. I would like to introduce and request Deputy Leader to give his thoughts in this matter.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, it's important to note that beauty pageants are exclusionary at its core. A very important question to ask in this debate at this point is how would a girl child that is watching beauty pageant would perceive the society and would perceive her futuristic expectations and the perception of acceptance in the society. Because that child in a Miss Nepal competition or a Miss US competition will never see a differently abled person participating in that competition. That child will never see an acid victim participating in that competition. Sure, the proposition side would like us to believe that there are different kind of genres of these competitions. For example, like Mrs. Ghana or Master World. But the question to ask is, do these programs really have that much of an outreach as compared to other programs like Miss Universe or like Miss World, who are the gateway through like Miss Nepal or the Miss US, right? We argue under our side of the house that is, even if these individuals are talented, because these individuals have been succumbed into restrictions of conventional notion of beauty standards that have been taught by the society. That is, you have to be 5'4" in order to participate in this event. That is, I as a girl child who is 5'1" will believe that I can never be like these individuals, who would believe that I would never be accepted like these individuals or be appreciated in order to represent my nation as Nepal like these individuals. We think that's the point where you reduce this individual's self-esteem. We think that's the point where you tell these individuals that you are not good enough as compared to other people that have the kind of beauty standards that you do not have in the currently in the society. Modern beauty pageants are massively exclusionary. Furthermore, restrictions include that if you are wearing a tattoo, you're not allowed to participate. That is extremely harmful. That is to say that you as a woman have to follow these kind of lifestyles. You as a woman have to follow these kind of structures and behavioral patterns in order to be accepted into a beauty pageant, in order to represent your nation, that you all should have the right to claim your own. If I as a woman want to wear a tattoo, or if I as a woman am 5'2", or if I as a woman am not young, I cannot participate in these beauty pageants. It is massively exclusionary. Furthermore, it's absolutely expensive as well. That is why the participation in beauty pageants among individuals across economic lines that are marginally poor is very, very low. This is evidently seen in countries like the US. It's also evidently seen in countries like that of ours. Furthermore, it's also very important to note that it massively breeds individual choices, because it tells them that this is exactly the kind of structure, this is exactly the kind of diet, this is exactly the kind of physical attribute that you need to follow. Even if you're a great singer or an amazing interpreter or an amazing analyst, you still have to be like this in terms of looks in order to participate or even to demonstrate the kind of skills that you think is important. Furthermore, it's also exclusionary in a premises that is evident in the United States, that the African American population that has won Miss US is very, very low, maybe 1 or maybe 2. It is a white kind of basis of metric of judgment. It is the succumbing of Eurocentric beauty standards that all should subscribe to. But furthermore, it's also important to note that feminist movement needs to identify an equitable ground for women of all different kind of skin color, of women of all ethnic backgrounds, of women of all economic backgrounds. That's the kind of inclusion that major beauty pageants must hold into in order to really empower all kind of women in the kind of country that we're particularly living in, right? Furthermore, it's also important to note in many instances, these beauty pageants are majority centered. That is the reason why in the same example of Saudi Arabia, a Shia Muslim in Saudi Arabia would not necessarily have the same ability to participate in the Miss Saudi Arabia competition, or have the same ability of winning that particular competition as well. That is why Christians in Syria cannot necessarily win beauty pageants in that particular country. It is exclusionary even across religious lines, across racial lines, and across other forms of ethnic lines as well. If we have a competition that tells women that these are the criteria that is fundamental for your existence in order to represent the nation that you all have the right to claim your own, we think that's the point where major form of exclusion happens. But we've already told you that how individuals perceive and how individuals grow in the society when they see these kind of institutions is that if I'm an acid victim, I will never have the same kind of feeling of acceptance in the society. I will live my entire life feeling that I'm less off as compared to other individuals and institutions that are seen to be very much empowered and are seen to be conventionally fit and fine to represent the kind of country that I too have the right to call that I'm important on this. For all these reasons, beauty pageants are exclusionary, beauty pageants cater to the majority, and beauty pageants do not necessarily serve the interest of wider range of women that we all would want to empower as feminist movement. And for all of these reasons, we're very proud to oppose.
Welcome to our enriching part, where you interact with our expert advisors, explore your career opportunities, test your potential, and truly begin your educational journey abroad for a brighter tomorrow. Education Park. Call us for more details.
Mercy Education is committed to providing you with the best available pathways for Australia, USA, UK, Canada and New Zealand. Our services includes confidential career counseling from our expert counselors, proper guidance and assistance through every step of the application process, easy way for visa processing, preparing the student for visa interview. We provide thorough training and comprehensive practice to ensure high score in the following test preparation classes: IELTS, TOEFL, SAT, PTE. We make sure that you achieve your dream of studying abroad. Mercy Education.
शिक्षाको लागि अस्ट्रेलिया गन्तव्य तपाईको साथ हाम्रो ओस स्टडीज।
I'd like to request from the ruling party to give her thoughts whether feminists should support beauty pageant.
Respected judges, I'd like to point out that we have already included all those questions raised by the opposition in our strategy and policy. They have talked about differently able people, about their participation in the beauty pageants, but we have set such a large criteria that all the people are included, all the women are included in beauty pageants like Miss Plus Size, Miss Wheelchair. I think they are differently able and they are participating in the particular wheelchair, Miss Wheelchair contest. So it's not the point that we have certain standard criteria. We are repeatedly saying that we are against the strict standards of beauty pageants, and we have inclusion of every woman having every ability and skin color, as they are repeatedly pointing out about the skin color. We have an example of Ghana as already stated, and being an example is also a great thing to such a great international forum. I'd like to make this house clear that we are providing same things that feminists have long been fighting for. We ensure equality, women's economic liberation, women's empowerment and self-confidence, and every opportunity to develop their overall personality through beauty pageants. They learn communication skills, they learn to be self-confident, and moreover, they are representing themselves in an international forum or a national forum and are talking about their talking about their own experiences. Historically, we have seen women limited within the kitchen and four walls of the house, and now women are representing their whole nation, and its status in beauty pageants is itself most significant point. Isn't it a great achievement in feminist movement that a lady who used to be in the kitchen is now representing her nation and adding to her nation's economic development? If there is a wound in a finger, then we need to cure that finger. If we cut the whole finger, then our whole body would suffer. So I request opponents to cure the wound, and we are talking about such cure in the beauty pageants. As they are talking about the patriarchal extension and patriarchal things in feminist beauty pageants, law is also attributed as a product of patriarchy to suit and fulfill their own interest. Does any feminist deny equality of men and women in law? No, they will not. So the whole structure of the society is patriarchal, but even though we need to find some space for ourselves, for the feminists, in the structure created by patriarchal views, and we need to establish our thoughts.
Now I'd like to call upon the opposing WIMP and to share his views in his defense.
irony is, they say that they actually stand against beauty pageants that has restriction. Note that in the status quo, every sort of beauty pageant has got restriction in and itself. That is to say, they generally propose a world where there is no beauty pageant available in the very first place. They actually decide to have this debate in a utopia, a modern day utopia that doesn't exist in the status quo, that doesn't exist practically. But secondly, they also had to say that they have to find this space among patriarchal values. Note that once again, this type of the type of beauty pageants that we are having in the society is actually a derivative of Miss USA, which was actually started by a guy, P.T. Burman, in the very first place. They actually tend to skew this motion by saying it is something that is actually done by females, where it is not. It was actually started for men to satisfy the pleasure in the very first place. What is the thing or the metric of judgment that we have in this debate? Firstly, on the idea of principle, and there are two clashes in this debate, which I'll be clarifying later. A clash on empowerment and a clash on inclusiveness and the idea of beauty. But before that, how do we win the clash of principle in the very first place? We argue that in the modern day society, that is the 21st century feminism is actually centered around a general principle of inclusiveness. Inclusiveness in every sort of standards, inclusiveness to every sort of female in the society. That means feminism in today's status quo doesn't necessarily stand for the things that they want to be. Feminism extremely stands for things like actually providing solace or a voice for other women in the society. The moment these beauty pageants are actually constantly working as a barrier to these women, we proudly do not support beauty pageants at any cost. The moment that they do not provide any sort of counter narrative whatsoever to the general idea of actual feminism in this debate is the moment where they lose the principal clash in the very first place. On offside, we give you four things. First, the perception of child in the society. 2, restrictions that are inflicted in these pageants. 3, the minorities and how they're excluded to huge extent. And 4thly, the self-esteem and why are beauty standards coercive, to which we have never heard a sufficient amount of mechanism or rebuttals in the very first place as to which you can credit them in the very first place. They have not actually fulfilled the heart of the debate, but they argue on two stances. That is to say, empowerment and idea of beauty and inclusiveness. Firstly, on the idea of empowerment, they only say that idea of empowerment generally happens in the world because females are going to work for variety of social awareness. The only mechanism or example behind this was the beauty for purpose idea that they bring. Note that the actual type of empowerment that is happening in the society, or the type of voices that are raised by women in the society, are done by other entities better. Meaning to say, where have you actually seen a beauty pageant model actually working in huge scale for the development of the society in the very first place? They firstly try to settle themselves up in entities like Bollywood and Hollywood, then only work for the betterment of the society. Meaning to say, the moment that they only provide one mechanism to social change, they lose this clash in the very first. But then they again tell that, oh wow, how once a Miss Universe was actually called to speak for world peace in the very first. Note that Malala Yousafzai did that when she was only 13 without even winning a beauty pageant. Meaning that people like Anuradha Koirala and Malala Yousafzai are doing better works in actually catering to these women in the very first. And these type of women who cater for these sort of females are the ones who actively advocate against beauty pageants also in the very first. They win that clash, they lose that clash in that premise. But secondly, they give us this beautiful idea of inner beauty. Well, that might actually sound beautiful coming out from their mouth, but note, if actually inner beauty and stuff like that existed in the perception of beauty pageants, why have we not ever seen an acid victim win a beauty pageant in the very first place? Why do these beauty pageants have got so many metrics? This is a contradiction in their case. They say that there are a variety of metrics of beauty pageants. That is, say there is Miss Black America, Miss Differently Able America, and stuff like that. If the idea was of inner beauty, there would only be one beauty pageant in the entire globe. This is a contradiction that is present in their case. They do not win this clash whatsoever. But then again, they talk about ideas of inclusiveness that are exclusive to their side. That doesn't happen. Why? Because they only give out examples of Saudi Arabia and how generally women were actually crowned without looking at their face. But they do not answer the fundamental question in this debate, that why cannot a Shia Muslim actually win, or a Shia woman actually win beauty pageants in Saudi Arabia, because of the active Sunni domination happening in these sort of things. Why do not these beauty pageants cater to these sort of violence in the very first place? And secondly, they extremely cleverly cherry pick example of how once Ghana had got a black woman win Miss World. The mechanism was Ghana is a black race dominant country, meaning that it was the stereotypical beauty that won Ghana Miss World representation. But on the other note, the fundamental question that they had to answer is, why in the history have we only seen one African American win Miss United States throughout the history that has ranged from 1927 to till date? That is the question that they have never answered in this debate. Team opposition proudly wins this. Very proud to oppose.
Be strong as iron. Be precious as gold. Golden Gate International College, Wisdom Tower, Trikoti Colony, Old Baneswar, 32 Putali, Kathmandu. Phone 4477 082 4466 795 4495 165.
Study in Canada. Start journey with Maple Education. Think Canada. Think Maple. Putali Sadak, Kathmandu.
Your call?
Thanks, babe.
के छ यार तेरो खबर?
मेरो त दामी छ यार. युनिभर्सिटी नि बवाल पाइहाले. जब नि दामी छ. अर्निङ नि दामी छ. I'm too satisfied, man. Too satisfied.
एडमिसन त सँगै गरियो, बेकारमा क्लास नगएर. अब म पनि SIC बाटै अस्ट्रेलिया प्रोसेसिङ गर्छु.
SIEC Study in Australia.
I'm the best. I'm the best.
You are the next. You are the next.
You are the best.
Welcome to the Next Education Consultancy. We provide classes for IELTS, PTE and abroad study counselling for Australia and New Zealand. The Next Education Consultancy. Head office Putali Sadak, Kathmandu.
It's a new day today. Not a day to make excuses, not to put it off for tomorrow. It's about today. It's your chance. This is your opportunity. It's your dream. Live it. Push forward. Turn the average into the extraordinary. Steadfast in your commitment, and then you'll still have work to do, because stopping is not your option. Promise yourself to be an achiever. Make success into your reality. So why settle for anything less? Professional Education Consultancy. Connecting to success.
Mates Education. अब हामी भएका छौं Mates International. We provide IELTS preparation classes, abroad study counseling program for study in Australia and many more. Mates International, Shahid Chowk, Narayangarh, Cinema Road, Parsa.
Are you interested to study in Australia? Visa guidance under registered migration experts. Study abroad for a greater tomorrow. Scope Student Services.
Now is the time for a concluding speaker, and I'd like to request each team to choose one member as a concluding speaker, and for that, I'd like to request the opposition party to come forward and give a concluding views of the topic.
Respected panel, there are three kinds of people that we serve inside opposition that they ignore in this debate. The first are those who are unprivileged in the society. These include people who do not conform to the societal standards of beauty. These people include who are minorities and who are poor. We told you how these people are constantly secluded when these kind of things these kind of societal standards are glamorized in these kind of beauty pageants. We told you the harms that it has on their self-esteem and their self-perception. The only thing that they wanted to engage in this idea is that there are many pageants that represent everyone's voices. There's Miss Ghana, there's Miss everything, right? But the problem with that then becomes that we already pointed out in our speech again is how these things are oftentimes put on side, right? These are only there just to be there. It's not something that is actually representative of their voice, which means there is no one here who knows who Miss Sherpa 2018 is, right? That is just a tokenistic appreciation that you also get this without actually providing them representation. But then again, they talk about how inner beauty is something that is valued. But we already questioned how there are different kind of requirements in almost every kind of mainstream Miss USA or Miss Nepal, which they never really responded to. But then we also talked about how women who conform to these beauty standards as well are harmed on the outside. It harms their self-esteem, where they constantly think that they are not more than what they look from outside. Right? There are different kind of health harms that they have to conform to different kind of beautiful beauty standards, where they actively harm their own self-identity of who they are. The only thing that they responded to was that in the third speech they talked how they're against against any kind of beauty restrictions, right? But if that means that importantly, that means that they're against any kind of beauty standards, they're against any kind of beauty pageants that we're talking about in this debate, because every beauty agent has that restrictions. Then we talked about the participants themselves, right? We talked about how they have to invest heavily in these kind of beauty pageants, how they feel uncomfortable being objectified in every single round, where they're constantly judged on how they look rather than what they have in their mind. The only thing that they talked is their empowerment. But then we questioned from the very first piece that they have never really proven why this empowerment can only come from an institution that is oppressive to a lot of people in the society. Why it only has to be Miss Pageant, why it cannot be a debate star program like this. That is something that they have never responded to. Because of all these reasons, we beg to oppose. Thank you.
We've heard the views from a concluding speaker from the opposition party. Now let's hear what the ruling party has to say. I'd like to request the concluding speaker from the ruling party.
A confident woman has a power to make real changes, starting in her local community with the potential to reach a global audience. We encourage every woman to get out of her comfort zone, be herself, and continue to define what it means to be confidently beautiful. Here, they talked about a lot of criteria regarding everything. Even in the army, there is a certain criteria of measurement. Even in the wrestling, there is certain criteria of weight. We can't deny these things. In everything, there is certain criteria to put and certain standard. So that is not bad. That is not bad at all. So around 2.5 million girls are participating in beauty pageant, and they are gaining some kind of images and self-confidence from there. So where will you put that 2.5 million girls? Do you have anything else to do with that beauty pageant winner or beauty pageant participant girl who have gained confidence in themselves, whose other people didn't give it? And along with that, we know the history of Nepal. The history of Miss Nepal was not too long. There was certain kind of demotivation factor as well. There was certain kind of strike against that. But still, we are here. We are rising Miss Nepal again and again. Why? Because that is only the platform. We have seen very clearly that we are reflecting Nepal in the world. Here we are talking about changing every negative aspect of beauty pageant to encourage the feminist and opponent, but still the opponent are stick in that stereotypical criteria that were in the past. Everything needs times to grow. We are well known about the large history. It did not pop up so soon that Miss Nepal or Miss World. It took long period that every changes need time to grow. So with the concept of Miss Plus Size, Miss Wheelchair, it will take time to grow. And one day we will definitely see them in the huge platform. Eating healthy things, exercising are not that bad. It is a healthy habit that we all need to grow up, because we know the data that USA, many people are dying of obesity. So here, I want to say that our government is trying to change the perception that beauty pageant is the worldwide thing, so every woman should be there to gloom up her. So here, I conclude that our government supports the beauty pageant, and feminists should also support beauty pageant. Thank you.
Time for us to hear the feedback from our judges panel, and I'd like to start from Surendra sir. How do you find the presentation of our speakers?
Still, I remember our female leader there in parliament who were protesting very roughly against the peasant. What I heard nowadays is they are in line of these types of peasant and spend most of the time in the beauty parlor. How the women almost like these types of practices, as the opposition party has raised the class gap, economically class gap. Few women are there who are even not able to join these types of peasant. Differently able are not able to join this. This is also countered by the government side. I hope these types of competitions give some sorts of inputs to enhance their feeling and making personality future to come.
Thank you, Surendra sir, for such a wonderful, insightful feedback. Now I'd like to ask Sanchita ma'am, how do you find the speaker's presentation?
Being an actress, for me, this topic is very interesting. We all are quite familiar with this topic. Beauty pageants have been long time criticized in our society regarding extending presence and the same time negative in our society also. I think the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, Government Whip, leader, opposition leader and whip, all are very powerful in the sense. And let's see who will win the show.
Now I'd like to ask Ramesh sir, how do you find the entire
Yeah.
presentation?
Government side, Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister as well as whip, they put their views in a very clear-cut way. I enjoyed a lot. But one thing is, there is repetition of the same views again and again. If you observe the once again, and there is some sort of repetitions. Number second is, you have somewhere diverted while during your presentation. But in other cases, I enjoyed a lot. In opposition side, I found, a whip of the government side is very polite and very soft-spoken person. Yeah. Same way, the opposition leader is very soft-spoken person. Normally, opposition leader is much more aggressive, than the ruling party. But I found that you are very soft-spoken person, and you put your views in a very clear-cut way. I like the presentation of Mr. Saurabh Bhatta and Amudit Basnet. Yeah, you look like opposition leaders. Maybe you are the deputy leader as well as whip.
Thank you, Ramesh sir. Thank you, judges, for your feedback. I believe our speaker will consider your comments in their real life as well. Now it's time for us to announce the winner of this debate competition, and I'd like to request again to Ramesh sir to announce who is going to be the winner of this debate star in today's episode.
According to our decision, though both are very, competent, and they put their views in a very clear-cut ways, the winner of this part is opposition side, gentleman side.
We had team NLC girls versus team as a team up against bullying, and the winner is the opposition party team up against bullying. Congratulations. Let's give them a big hand. Concluding the event, I'd like to ask our team members once again to cross the floor and shake your hands, and let us give a good example of a good sportsmanship. We are at the end of this episode of Debate Star, and I'd like to thank our judges for your valuable time and to the speaker as well for your participation. But don't go anywhere. We will be coming up with new episode with more interesting topic, and we'll also have a very good and effective intellectual war among the participants. So keep on watching and stay tuned for next Debate Star episode.
Title sponsor, Education Park. In association with Mercy Education, powered by OS Studies, IELTS partner, British Council. Brought to you by Golden Gate International College, Maple International Education. Main sponsor, SIEC. Sponsors, METS International Education and Visa Services. The Next Education Consultancy. Scope Student Services. Professional Education Consultancy. Cambridge Institute of Technology. Banking partner, Everest Bank Limited. Co-sponsors, Oasis Career Advisor, supported by Hisan. In partnership with Debate Network Nepal, organized by Abhiyan Multimedia. Media partner, Annapurna Sampurna. Creative partner, Fulcrum Consulting Private Limited. Exclusively on NEWS24 Television.